All right, let's talk stress and the nervous system. So, we all have a nervous system, it's how we function. And if you follow any of my stuff, you'll know that I am big on making sure that we tackle improvement through a twofold process. So, one is improving your physiology, and one is improving your psychology. Your nervous system falls under the physiological side of things because we're dealing with the physiology of the body. When we get stressed out, which happens easily nowadays, we live in a world of constant stress. We're always on. And when you have a particularly stressful job, if you work in service and protection, then your stress is going to be through the roof. So learning how to actually calm your nervous system and give it a break and essentially switch it off, change its state, is going to be huge for helping you progress and, of course, manage your stress and find a level of inner peace in a world that is always chaotic and crazy. If you want to go a little bit deeper into that, just drop me a line, let me know, and you can get a copy of the free 7-day upgrade where we go into depth in day one, all about stress and the nervous system, and we go on a little journey together to help you find freedom from chaos, clarity of purpose, and the power to create a life that you love. Obviously, hopefully you know by now, my name is Celeste and I am the creator of Project Tempest. We provide no BS mind training for women who protect and serve so that they can conquer their stress, find balance, and do some real practical training work, provided with tools and strategies so that you can actually create something incredible in your life. So stress, this is a huge topic, overwhelm, anxiety, whatever it may be, all of those things that fry out your nervous system. If we can understand our triggers, so the things that make it worse and when we are getting amped up, and then have a couple of things up our sleeve in order to bring it back down in the moment, we can start to, change things dramatically. So recognizing what are the things that trigger you, recognizing when your nervous system is kicking into that fight, flight, freeze, or fawn response. You've probably only ever heard of fight or flight because that's the most common, but there are other nervous system responses that create a different output. But ultimately what's happening is we feel unsafe, we feel in danger. So our nervous system is kicking in order to produce action that's going to keep us safe. And most of the time, we don't really need that action because we live in a world that is vastly different to when our nervous system was developed years and years and years and years ago. The world has changed, we've changed, but our nervous system has not evolved at all. So we are still working on that, right, I need to survive, I need to protect myself. So it's supposed to work in that it goes up, goes on, you deal with the threat, you live, you survive, and then it goes back down. We shift into a different nervous system state and we heal, we rest, and then it goes again next time we need to protect ourselves. That's how it's supposed to work. Short, sharp, acute bursts of stress followed by recovery and rest. But most of us find ourselves in chronic stress with very little time for that rest period, that recovery period. And unless we actively learn how to turn the stress off and recover, then we're going to stay stuck. We're going to end up frying our physiology. We're going to end up with all manner of illnesses, diseases, all kinds of things. You can read more about that in the first chapter of the book. Anyway, so learning to recognize what your biggest stress triggers are and actually acknowledge them without creating a huge amount of energy and judgment around them. Okay, there will be things that immediately kick your nervous system in straight away. These will be your triggers. Learning what they are, writing them down, and recognizing when you're going to encounter them is key, because then it gives you the opportunity to prepare and to then actually break what happens next. Because normally when we get triggered, we're hit with these emotions, these feelings, this shift in our physiology. We then go and take an action. Every time we take that same action, we just reinforce that trigger and that response. So if we can recognize the trigger and prepare for it, sometimes you can't prepare, you can't always be prepared in life, but if you can recognize the trigger and know what these feelings are when they're happening, you can change the follow-up action, which then breaks a pattern. That's one of the ways how we break habits. So being able to be self-aware and look at, these are the things that trigger me. Takes practice, takes awareness. There's a little bit in the guide that will go through that with you on day 2, where you create an emotional landscape. It will talk about that in a little bit of depth for you as well. Step 2, once you're aware of your triggers, is to either preempt them or learn how to actually deal with them in the moment. And the best way to deal with your nervous system is to breathe. I've got many videos around breathing and breath work. But if you can breathe in the moment, you can create a change in your nervous system, because as soon as that kicks on and you go into your little survival mode, your breathing changes. So by actively controlling that, you can change that response. Okay, so there's millions of different types of breathing techniques. If you want to know more, there's one in the book, like I said, in chapter 1, really useful one. But if you have a regular practice of this as well, rather than just relying on it in a moment, you become better at it. So when the moment does strike, you'll be able to use it. Plus, you can improve your body's ability to deal with stress. You can improve how you filter out carbon dioxide. When we get stressed out, carbon dioxide builds up in the body. So if you have a regular breathwork practice, you can actually learn to increase your tolerance for that, and you get more efficient at getting rid of it as well. And rather than panicking when you're having a stress response, you can actually rely on your training that you have practiced and start to breathe. So I'm not going to go into details about what kind of breathing to do. There's all sorts. If you have a particular one that you like, let me know. I'd be interested to see what you guys practice. I do a range of things, from Soma to Wim Hof, to Breath of Fire, all kinds of different types of things. The next thing we want to do is expand that further. So having some kind of practice where you create space. Okay, in our world, we're always switched on because we have our phones, we have social media, we have email, internet, whatever it is, we're always on. And being always on enhances the stress response. So being able to get away from that and to create space is hugely healing for the nervous system. So every day, getting out and going for a walk, being out in nature, being in the sunlight, and moving are 3 things that are going to help you massively in healing your nervous system and gaining a level of control over it. So getting outside, walking, doing some kind of workout outside, whatever it may be, it's all going to help massively. And like I said, short, sharp, acute bursts of stress like you get from a training session, that's good for your nervous system because you're strengthening it. It's the persistent chronic stress that tears us down. So people worry that, all right, I'm stressed out, my nervous system's fried, should I be training? Yeah, it's not going to make it any worse. You know, you could try different methods. You could try things like yoga and other things that allow you to connect with your body. But whatever it is, just move. It allows you to get out of your head and into your body a little bit more. And the more you can get into your body, the more you're going to understand it and learn how to shift your physiology. So that's 3 little things you can do to help deal with stress and learn how to control your nervous system, learn how to harness your physiology and make it work for you rather than against you. And like I said, if you want a little bit more info about that, drop me a line, let me know. You can get a copy of the guide. I'll send that through to you. So in the meantime, let me know what your favorite practices are for managing your stress. Let me know what kind of breath work you like to do. Just drop it down there and I'll have a little read through.